now, while Michaela paved the way for so many of us, our next awardee is leading the way for the next generation of women and men, philanthropists who are raising resources for women and girls. As the first executive director of Spark, Shannon Farley has demonstrated exemplary leadership within the women's funding movement and led Spark to become a true model for innovative and inclusionary philanthropy. Her ability to personally build and engage a community of young global citizens who are invested in changing patterns of inequality that impact women throughout the world has created a model for the network that will have a lasting effect. Spark started in San Francisco, and for years their fundraising events have united both young women and men in partnering with women most impacted by gender inequality, both locally and globally. They've now expanded to New York, where many of their young philanthropist members are men. I think 50%? 50% are men. Hey, all right. We heard from that this morning. Someone asked a great question about engaging men. Shannon and Spark are building a world where philanthropy is fun and forward-thinking. Since its inception in 2004, Spark has engaged a network of over 5,000 young professionals to raise over $1 million for 20 grassroots women's organizations in places as diverse as Rwanda, Mexico, Bangladesh, Jordan, Kenya, Zimbabwe, Afghanistan, and San Francisco. We are truly delighted to have this opportunity to recognize Shannon's leadership and her promise for the future generations of philanthropy and in changing the face of philanthropy. Shannon, congratulations.
Okay. Thank you so much.
Yes.
We've
got to turn around.
Oh. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you so much. I'm just honored and humbled to be in this community always, but up here especially. Thank you, Michelle. My story is a women's funding movement story. I was 24 working as a legal secretary for a juvenile justice organization when I saw a fellowship listed on the Women's Foundation of California's website. I was totally underqualified. The other fellows were leaders of organizations and communities, and they were about 15 years older. But I applied, and Judy Patrick trusted me and trusted young women's leadership, and that's the reason I'm here today. Yeah. And from the beginning, the women's funding community has been just incredibly supportive of Spark. Chris Grum and Deborah Richardson and now Michelle have been champions and supporters of us. Many of our first investors and supporters came from this world. Carol Edgar, Elizabeth Colton, Susie Tompkins Buell, and Jackie Zahner were with us before we had data to prove that we could do it. They trusted in young women. And now, as Michelle said, we are a growing body. We're 5,000 strong and growing every day. We funded 93 organizations across the globe, and here in San Francisco and in New York, and we're changing the face of who gives to women's causes and why. Most of our donors are first-time donors in general, and certainly first-time women's cause donors, and particularly our male membership started at 10%, and it's grown to 50%, and we intend to keep that strong and growing. And just to give you a sense of how we do it, I just wanted to leave you with a story. 2 years ago, Spark members voted to support a grantee called Akili Dada. This is like a fantastic girls' education and mentoring program in Kenya. And we got to work right away raising money for them because as their first funder, their total budget was $8,000. And we knew they needed more support. So we were raising money and introducing them to other funders and giving pro bono professional services. Within a month, really 2 months, one of our sisters here supported them. The Global Fund for Women came on and gave them a sustaining grant to keep them growing. But we got a call from the founder, Wanjuru, and she was like, okay, we're ready to start applying for big grants, but we need an accounting system and a balance sheet. So we're like, okay. So we posted on Facebook that there was this great program and they needed our support. And that's when I got a call from a guy named Shaw, Shah is a 33-year-old Iranian businessman who lives in San Francisco. He runs security companies. And he called and was like, hey, Shannon, I saw that there's this group that's doing girls' education. I care deeply about girls' education, but I have no idea how to get started. Could I be the one who helps her? The groups that we support, they need financial resources, but they also need connectivity to help scale up their goals and grow into the organizations they promise to be. So for me, that's true of this room, that we are investing in groups and a vision for the world before it's at its peak, and we're giving them our financial resources, but also our connectivity and love to help them grow into who they will become. So people in this room trusted young women, they trusted in me and invested in Spark, and because of you, each one of us can now be the one together. So thank you so much for this award. I'm humbled and pleased.
Wow, our future is definitely bright. And for those of you who are struggling with operational overhead, Shannon works out of her house and totally virtual. So, just have an imagination, right? So I want to thank everyone. I want to congratulate our awardees. I want to thank Amy for introducing us to the Invisible War. And Amy, did you want to come up and do one more thing quickly?
Okay. I went into filmmaking so I could just wear jeans and flip-flops all my life. So I'm not good at this, wearing a dress and actually giving a speech, and I forgot the thank you. So I really, really, want to thank all of you for the work you do. I mean, without you, so many good things in the world wouldn't happen. Thank you for coming today. Thank you to Michelle Ozumba for inviting us and giving this film this platform, which is huge and really amazing. I want to thank some of our executive producers who are members of Women's Funding Network, and without them, we all wouldn't be here either. So Abby Disney, Barbara Dobkin, Jackie Zahner, Donna Hall and the Women Donors Network. She said, be sure to give a shout out because I know some of you are here. Thank you. Jennifer Siebel Newsom and Regina Kulik Scully. Thank you.
Okay, I think I have a couple minutes. Do I have 2 minutes? Okay, I want to just do a little census taking here and ask anyone for whom this is your first WFN conference. Oh my goodness. Wow. Okay, so for those who are in your job less than 6 months, stand up. I met some of you. Wow. For those of you who are in your job less than a year, stand up. Oh my goodness. Okay, for those of you less than 3 years, stand up. Wow. And for the veterans, I guess that means 3 years and above. So anyone who's been in their job more than 10 years. Wait, Tracy. Wow. Wow, Lee, yes. And by the way, I forgot to acknowledge that our dear board co-chair went to the toy store, and I thought she was going to come back with pom-poms so I could do a cartwheel and prove that I really was a cheerleader, but she came back with this. Hey, don't be difficult. Okay, so that wraps up our awards ceremony. I want to thank Claire Costello and Bank of America Merrill Lynch, and I guess U.S. Trust Bank of America Merrill Lynch for really sponsoring today's event. I really am thrilled with our awardees and with their sponsorship.